Hi and welcome to my channel. I am Rosica and this is the Midnight Reader. Today we're going to be reviewing all the books I read in July. I read 9 books, which is pretty good for me. That's twice the average that I've been reading since having a kid, so I'm pretty happy with that. This was a good reading one for me. I think I'm going to try and rapid review some of them because some of them were featured in a reading vlog I just did where I summoned booktuber Allison Pages and read some of her favorite books accompanied by some witchy bullshit. I will link that video here and below if you want to check out that video because I go over some of the books in more depth. The 4 books that I read for that vlog, first was Pure Color by Sheila Heti. This is a short fiction book that verges on poetry and abstract philosophy. It loosely follows a woman's life. She thinks about things that give life meaning like art and love and death and family. At one point she gets stuck in a leaf. That happens. Sheila Heti has kind of a stream of consciousness style of writing that typically I don't like in books, but I actually rather enjoyed in this one. The book had some beautiful passages where she talked about things that really resonated with me that I feel like I'm going to marinate on and think about for the rest of my life. This was, however, interspersed with really gross passages where she talked about incest. So this book is hard to rate. In my vlog, I decided to give it 1 leaf worth getting stuck in because it sort of defies the star rating system, and I'm going to stick with that. So Sheila Heti's Pure Color is rated 1 leaf. Next, I read The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupery, and I did my best with the pronunciation there, just so you know. It's a philosophy book on the meaning of life disguised as a children's book. I really enjoyed it. It's one of my new favorite books, and I'm happy I did the Allison Pages vlog just so that I found this book, because this is one I think will be added to my permanent collection that I hope to read to my daughter someday. It talks about how children have a much deeper understanding of often what makes us happy, whereas adults tend to mess it up with things like greed, money, and power. I'm not really going to go into the plot of the book too much because A, it's really short, and B, if it interests you at all, you should probably just read it and thank me later. So 5 stars for The Little Prince, and perhaps a rose, a fox, and a couple of small volcanoes. Next for the vlog, I read Miss Ice Sandwich by Mieko Kawakami. This is a translated book, originally written in Japanese. If you're looking for a good short book for Women in Translation Month, which just happens to be August, I would highly recommend this one. This follows a small boy in Japan who is, I believe, neurodivergent, although I'm not sure if that was intentional by the author, but he reads that way. And it's his everyday life as he navigates being a 4th grader in Japan, as well as his family life, friendship, and the woman he falls in love with, his first love, who happens to be the woman behind the sandwich counter at his neighborhood convenience store. He falls in love with her for her blue eyeshadow, her deftness with sandwich tongs, and her brusque attitude. It's quirky and delightful, an odd little read, and I would give it a solid 4.5 stars. And lastly, I read for the reading vlog The Bandit Queens, which is a blazingly good 5-star read by Parini Schroff. This is a debut novel which focuses on Geeta, who is a woman living in a village in rural India whose abusive husband abandons her, and because he doesn't come back for the house or money, people assume that Geeta killed him. And Geeta does not correct them. Ostracized by her village, she soon finds herself in high demand for her new skill set, which is husband killing. There are some very dark themes in this, including obviously abuse, sexism, and caste system in India, but the themes of female friendship come through, and I really enjoyed the read. I will probably pick up anything else that this author writes. It is a sharp and dark comedic delight. Strong 5 stars. On to books I read for no particular reason. I read Happy Place by Emily Henry. I'm a big Emily Henry fan, and whenever she comes out with another book, the internet gets all Twitter-pated because they're like, this book is now the best Emily Henry book ever written. For me, it's still Beach Read. That's still my favorite Emily Henry. So this is a friends to lovers with some fake dating thrown in, as well as enemies to lovers. Harriet and Wynne have been in their true love relationship since they met in college, and every summer they have a huge friend trip with their friends from college where they go up to a house in coastal Maine and hang out for a week together. This year, Harriet and Wynne have broken up, they aren't speaking, and they haven't told their friends. 2 of their friends are getting married, and the house is being sold, so Harriet and Wynne decide not to ruin the vibes of the friend vacation and just pretend to still be in a relationship. Here's my problem with this book. A, it's not really much for romance. The bulk of it is heartache and like a nasty ass breakup, and then straight into just hating and horny. It also reads really young. The friend group in this are like late 20-somethings who are just trying to recapture their college years by being like drunk and obnoxious. And I hated the friend group for the bulk of this novel. Whenever any of them were in the book, which was a lot, I just wanted to punch them all in the face. Also, I didn't like Harriet and Wynne as a couple, so I was not rooting for them because it seemed like the bulk of what they had in common was bad communication skills and wanting to bone, which to me didn't seem like the basis of a great relationship. It was a 3-star experience for me right up until the end, where I feel like she pulled out enough stops and wrapped it up satisfyingly enough that I'm gonna give it like a low 4 stars, like 3.5 to 4. Maybe if I was 25 years old, I would have enjoyed this book more, but right now I'm 32. I just want a whiskey, I want to watch Taskmaster, and I want to go to bed at 9:30 p.m. This wasn't the romance that appealed to me. Next up in Hot Mess was Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Sutanto. I read this because I loved the author's other book, Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, and hoo boy, was this not it. This follows Madeline as she tries to get away with accidental murder while catering, photographing, and organizing a wedding for 2,000 people at a very crazy rich Asian's wedding with her mom and aunties. Usually I love mess in a book, but this was too much mess, okay? First off, I couldn't tell what genre it was. I couldn't tell if it was meant to be cozy mystery, if it was meant to be a rom-com, if it was meant to be a family drama. I think I settled on the genre that it was closest to is actually a telenovela because the reveals just get dumber and dumber and the characters don't behave like real people. Also, another couple I wasn't rooting for. During all of the mess, Betty is trying to get back with her ex-boyfriend, Nathan, who just happens to be at the wedding as well, because why not coinkydink? And Nathan, you can do better. Have some self-respect. This woman broke your heart into 1,000 little pieces, so don't go crawling back to her just because she waved some eyelash at you. Have self-respect. Vera Wong would straighten up this bullshit in no time flat. Very medium, 3 stars. Next is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. This is a thriller that's made for BookTube and Book Talk. This is about a female reader who devours horrors and thrillers. Like, she's the biggest fan of these novels, and she writes a devastatingly bad review of a horror novel online. The author then stalks and attempts to kill her over her 1-star review. So can the protagonist do better than the characters she despises in these novels? We'll find out. The book has everything I want in a thriller. It scared the bejesus out of me in places, the humor made me snort with laughter, the twists were great, and the ending was enormously satisfying. I kept thinking how much fun the author was having writing this book. Taylor Adams put his own 2 dogs in the novel, and he has this super fun dueling narrator thing going because you get the point of view of the killer and the heroine, and the killer is a bad writer. So Taylor Adams gets to do bad horror thriller writing, and the killer's always trying to make himself seem more badass and more threatening. That's interspersed with the heroine's thoughts, where she sort of gives us the actual play-by-play. So the killer will be like, his hand was perfectly still on the gun after he leapt panther-like through the window. And then the heroine will say something like, his hand shook like a leaf on the gun, barely holding it in place, while he audibly wheezed from hauling his out-of-shape ass through the window frame. So the humor is really good. I will warn you, there is a twist in here that caused me actual emotional damage. Like, I was emotionally unprepared for the damage I was going to take from this book. It's brilliant. I hate you, Taylor Adams, for hurting me in this way, but I guess I'll give you the full 5 stars because I don't want you to murder me either. Next, I read The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and I feel like I need to apologize in advance. I know that this is a BookTube darling. Everyone has read it. I really didn't like it. I'm sorry. I really didn't like it. If you love it, I'm so happy for you. I'm not trying to take anything away from you. I know this is a very unpopular opinion to have, is to dislike this book. And I was expecting to love it. I loved Circe. It ticks a lot of boxes for books that I love. It's a big gay romance. It's a Greek mythological retelling. It's a hyped book. Check, 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 right? These are all things that I typically love in books, but I just didn't. And I think the reason I didn't like it is because I hate Achilles. I saw a really funny review comparing the character of Achilles to the Twilight books and Edward Cullen. And that is accurate. The whole book is Patroclus being like, oh my god, Achilles, you're so hot, you're so strong, you're so sexy, your feet are so cute. And Achilles being like, yes, I am amazing. I need to leave and talk to my mom. So he's just a giant red flag with like friggin' mommy issues. And he does all kinds of terrible shit to Patroclus. He cheats on him. He tries to marry a woman twice. And Patroclus doesn't even get mad at him. He's like, I guess it's fine. You really hurt my feelings. But then if Patroclus even mentions something that might bother Achilles, Achilles is like, how dare you have these thoughts, even though you didn't do any of the actions. Achilles is just a parade of red flags. Ladies and gentlemen, walk away from this man. I'm not even really going to talk about my problems with how women are told in this book. They are enslaved, they are raped, they are used and abused by every character in the book. Even the title character. Again, how am I supposed to like this dude? He's a dick. The only one who's vaguely nice to women is Patroclus, but he also lets Achilles get away with a bunch of crappy shit. So it's kind of like you're part of the problem, Patroclus, even though you're like the best one in the book to women. I get it. This is how women are sold in Greek mythology. It's a retelling. Just give women just the teensiest bit of agency in the story. So they're not there just to be like mowed over by the main characters to make the character feel bad or good. I will say I did enjoy the ending. Okay, the ending was satisfying. And by the ending, I mean like the last 3 pages. I liked the last 3 pages. And those last 3 pages were enough to bump it from a 2-star to a 3-star for me. But it is a low 3-star, and I didn't like it. I'm sorry. It's okay if we like different things. This makes humans fun. Lastly was Hotel Nantucket by Elin Hilderbrand. According to my library, there are currently 41 copies of the Hotel Nantucket at my library, and I've never heard anyone talk about this book on BookTube, so it's possible that the booktubers that I follow are not reading what the populace is reading. These are apparently very popular books. It's delightful fluff. It's about rich people in Massachusetts. It's an upstairs-downstairs drama at the Hotel Nantucket. There's rich people having affairs, there's less rich people having secrets, there's a ghost who likes Snapchat, and they use the words hydrangea blue like 700 times. It's dumb, it's fun, it's a dumb fun snack. I gave it a solid 4 stars because it's exactly as good as I expected it to be. That's my Rapid July reading wrap up. I hope you enjoyed it. This was a really good reading month for me. Tell me in the comments below what your favorite book this month was, because I'd love to find out. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for being kind, and I will see you all next video. Bye!